Okay, I understand why we might eat lamb at Pesach. I understand why we would have the bitter herbs. And I understand why we would eat matzah, at least that night. But 7 days? Really? 7 whole days of matzah? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, Day 4, special readings pertaining to Passover or Pesach. Let's go to Exodus or Shemot chapter number 13 and start reading with verse 1. And Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, Set apart to me all the firstborn, the one opening the womb among the children of Israel, among man and among beast, it is mine. And Moshe said to the people, Remember this day in which you went out of Mitzrayim, out of the house of slavery. For by strength of hand Yahweh brought you out of this place, and whatever is leavened is not to be eaten. Today you're going out in the new moon of Aviv. And it shall be, when Yahweh brings you into the land of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, which he swore to your fathers to give to you, a land flowing with milk and honey, that you shall keep this service in this new moon. 7 days, there it is, 7 days, you eat unleavened bread. And on the seventh day is a festival to Yahweh. Unleavened bread is to be eaten the 7 days, and whatever is leavened is not to be seen with you. Leaven is not to be seen with you within all your border. And you shall inform your son in that day, saying, It is because of what Yahweh did for me when I came up from Mitzrayim. And it shall be assigned to you on your hand as a reminder between your eyes that the Torah of Yahweh is to be in your mouth. For with a strong hand Yahweh has brought you out of Mitzrayim. You shall guard this law at its appointed time from year to year. He says, we eat the unleavened bread for 7 days, not having anything with leaven around us for 7 days, because of what he did for us and bringing us out of Mitzrayim. Now, anyone that's ever eaten matzah, just breaking off a piece of matzah, as we do in the Seder, and putting it in your mouth, there's not a lot of flavor and excitement going on the taste buds here. This is not bread where you say yum, per se. You eat the matzah, and the modern version of it is much like a unsalted, plain Jane cracker thing. What they took out of Mitzrayim obviously was probably a little different than that, but it's unleavened bread. We rejoice in the recipes of making matzah pizza and matzah peanut butter and grilled matzah with grilled cheese matzah maybe, and all of those things. We top it with whatever we can think of to give it some zest and flavor. But let me challenge you. At some point every day during the Passover experience, these 7 days of unleavened bread, without anything dressing it up, just take some matzah and eat it. And let it remind you of what Yah says you need to be reminded of. When you eat this bread for 7 days, you need to rehearse in your mind how that you were brought out of Mitzrayim and there was not time for the bread to rise. There are those of us that certain scents, certain sounds, smells, textures, words, attitudes, stuff, outside stimuli, it instantly takes us back negatively or positively to some previous event. You walk into a place where a certain food is being prepared. The aroma of that will instantly take you back in your childhood to where that food was being prepared. It's the smell. You smell someone's cologne, and immediately you think of maybe someone who's passed away used to wear that same cologne, and instantly you think of them. Well, here in our DNA, somewhere locked away, there is an experience of being liberated and freed from slavery and bondage. And somehow our DNA is supposed to be awakened and our spirit become keenly aware of this liberation by eating the matzah. If, as my good friend Mike Clayton says, if you can only think about cheeseburgers on a bun, if you can only think about a yeasted roll, and you're suffering going through the Matzah Unleavened Bread festival, you're eating that, but you're not thinking about what you're eating. You're drooling for a cheeseburger on a bun, a cheesesteak hoagie on a bun. Well, just go ahead and go get you one, because you've missed the point. This bread speaks of our basic salvation. Now, the night of the Passover Seder, we're going to eat it, and it will have a novelty about it, and we will experience it because we're doing it in a group setting. Somewhere within the 7 days, typically the novelty of matzah will wear off, and you will almost reluctantly grab a piece, break it, and start to eat. Salvation can be the same thing. The initial exuberance and thrill of being born again and the realization my sinful past is gone. I don't carry that weight anymore. I've been freed from that. Thank you, Father, that I'm no longer who I was. I'm somebody brand new. I'm a new creation in Messiah. And we run in that energy for a lengthy period of time, but it can happen where life settles in, and even the routines of spiritual disciplines of word and prayer and worship and congregation life, all of that settles in, and maybe the novelty of our redemption, that born-again experience, begins to taper off. Every once in a while, we need to be reminded. This simple bread of flour and water and literally nothing else, it speaks of the basic element of our redemption. In 50 days plus, after, counting from first fruits, we count toward leavened bread at Shavuot that we celebrate with. And it's full of life and volume and flavor and aroma. And we yearn for that. That's life in the spirit. And we yearn for that. And sometimes people yearn for that to the exception of the matzah. But may we be brought back during the Feast of Unleavened Bread and reminded that, hey, you were brought out of Mitzrayim. Maybe not so much the country and the culture, but whatever the Mitzrayim Egyptian-style life of this world experience you were living in, with all of its addictions and issues and problems and sinful patterns of life, all of that stuff, Yah unlocked our doors, took off our chains, blessed us, and basically pushed us out of the land into a brand new life of freedom. May we eat the matzah this week and be reminded of where it was that we were when He found us, though He knew all along, and redeemed us and liberated us. And may we rejoice and remember one more time. Thank you, Father, for our salvation. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, shalom.